Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the newest episode of the Theater Enthusiast podcast. I'm so delighted and honored that you are here on this podcast because, like I said, I've wanted to interview you for quite some time. You're really, truly like an incredible theater maker and performer and writer. And I'm gonna convel more over you once we talk more about the most recent project you did in New York, because I'm sure you've seen like my comments on it because it still holds very true. They are a theater maker, writer, actor. They are also an Olivier Award nominated person. Please welcome Rob Madge to the podcast. I don't know if anybody can hear
Oh,
me applaud.
Alison, that was so lovely.
Well,
Thank
it's
you so
of
much.
course, like I'm a big theater nerd, and whenever I get people on the podcast, it's because I want them on and I want to talk to them. When I saw My Son's a Queer, but What Can You Do? And it was just the perfect show for Pride. And I was also there, the performance where that young person was wearing the bell dress.
That was so special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I laughed, I cried, and I was just so taken by how loving and supportive of a family you have is. And when they showed the video of them making that marionette theater, puppet theater for you,
Yeah.
I was just a mess.
Oh, thank you so much for coming along. New
Yeah.
York showed up and showed out for me. I was
Oh yeah.
blown away.
I
It
think it
was
was
such a great week.
Yeah, I think it was like a great Pride event. They're like, "Oh, Pride, New York. My son's a queer." I actually told a neighbor of mine to go see the show, and they actually got tickets and they saw it the next day.
Oh, yay, word of mouth. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
of course. So, I always like to start from the very beginning. A very good place to start as us
Yes, thank you,
theater
Judy
pros.
Andrews.
Yes.
Yes.
Where are you from?
So I'm from a tiny little village in the middle of England, which is near a city called Birmingham, which is, not Birmingham, Alabama, Birmingham in the Midlands, and
Yeah.
it's very sort of backwards,
Hmm.
very rural. Theatre is non-existent there.
Yeah.
Um, so I escaped to London to do theatre at the age of 9. But
Mhm.
my childhood was growing up in this, such a remote part of the country. And I still go back every now and then, and I'm still that lad from London. How's London going? What's the theatre world like? I mean, it's worlds apart from my life now, but
Yeah.
it keeps me grounded. I do like going back home.
Yeah, I in my research of you, I love how you'll tell your parents something and they're like, "That's great. How is this?" Just to like keep you grounded and humble. And I also just want to say too, I love your content with your parents. And I also love when you're in Disney with your mom and all of that content as well.
Honestly, my mum is the star of the show.
Yeah.
It's got to the point where I'll be at an event and no one will ever ask me questions about my life, my career anymore. It's where's your mum?
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, damn, I should just have her on my rider at all times.
Yeah. Well, maybe next time if you ever want to come back on with your mom, we can just do an interview with her.
Oh my God, we'd be here all day.
That's fine. Listen, I have very long podcasts where we just chat, but not today. So, I know that you studied at the Sylvia Young Theater when you were a child, and what got you there? Was it because, if you've seen My Son is a Queer, and it's well known that you've performed many Disney shows in your childhood home as a kid, which I'm sure we all did, but you did a spectacular job of doing them.
Thank you so much. I agree. They were
Yeah.
they were high budget productions. We had a smoke machine.
Oh, wow. Did I know that? No, but maybe I
I
did.
don't think
I
that bit
remember.
made it to the show. Shame,
Yeah,
really.
that's incredible. Smoke machine. Was there bubbles at one point? Because that would have been great.
There were bubbles, there was smoke, there was a snow machine. I mean, a very average Christmas list for
Oh,
a
okay.
12-year-old boy, right? Santa came through for me.
Yeah, I mean, instead of wanting this, I want that. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Most people wanted, footballs, and I wanted Whitney Houston's Cinderella on VHS, and I wanted to recreate that.
I think, you know what, that's fair. And I think a lot of people wanted that.
Thank
So,
you.
I'm just curious to know the Sylvia Young Theater School, how did you get into that? And then from going to that school, what led to your West End debut in Mary Poppins?
It was actually the other way around.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
Mary Poppins was first, and I went to like an open call for it.
Mhm.
And I was about 9 years old, and I got the part. And then when I was in Poppins, that was my first time really being in London for an extended period of time. There was another Michael Banks because the kids have to job share. Um, in the UK, you can't have kids are only licensed to do about 3 performances a week. So one of the other Michael Bankses went to Sylvia Young Theatre School and told me all about it. He said, "It's down the road from here. You'd never have to go back to Birmingham. You could stay in London forever." And I thought, wow, I think I'm gonna like it here. So I had an
You
audition
could
for
you
that.
could sing it. You can sing the Annie.
Do you think I could?
Oh, why not? I think I'm gonna like it here. Again, like theater nerd to theater nerd. If you ever want to sing a reference, I'm here for it. I'll do it
You're
with.
here. Thank
Yeah.
God. Well, now I know my audience. I will
Yeah.
belt my heavens.
Yeah, please
Um,
do.
so yeah, that's how that came about. It was a recommendation from a fellow Michael Banks. I mean, you can't get much stagier or camper than that, can you really?
No. And then you can't get more stagier than doing the Scottish play with Patrick Stewart.
Oh gosh, I
Yeah.
very rarely talk about this. That's you have done your research. My goodness.
Yes. Well, no, I just think it's so interesting because I think they brought that production to New York.
They did very briefly, right,
Yeah.
with Kate Fleetwood and Patrick Stewart. Yeah,
Mhm.
Rupert Gould's Scottish play. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you were worked with Rupert again in Oliver.
Yeah, that was about, I think, 6 months after I finished in the Scottish play. I
Mhm.
went for an audition for, well, there was a TV show called I'd Do Anything, which was, the search for Elle Woods,
Yeah,
where
I think
I
wasn't
tried to
it
find
for
her
it was
death.
for Oliver and wasn't
It,
Samantha Barks on it or something?
Samantha Barks came third,
Hmm.
Jessie Buckley came second, and it was won by Jodie Prenger. It was the search for Nancy and Oliver. So I auditioned for that, auditioning for the role of Oliver. and and I didn't get very far in the process because I think they worked out very quickly that I wasn't sweet enough or I wasn't innocent and innocent enough to be Oliver. So they asked me back to go for Dodger, which felt more in my sort of wheelhouse anyway. Little
Yeah.
Cockney, cheeky chap. So
Hmm.
then yeah, I auditioned for Rupert for that again in 2008, and that was a great fun job.
I also because we do have limited time, just gonna like jump on things that I'm like so excited to learn about you. You
Go for it.
also did Matilda,
Yes.
Reginald, and oh my goodness, where I wrote it down and I can't find it, but in Stratford for the Royal Shakespeare Company, which is
Yeah.
so great. And I love Matilda.
I think it's one of Britain's greatest musicals. I think it's a real great export of ours, and I think we're all very proud of it. And it's still going strong over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the very first production of that before it transferred to the West End, and my role, hilariously, no longer exists. So the role of Reginald was a Stratford only role,
Yeah.
I've learned.
They're like, we can't get Rob, so we can't do this part on the
Well,
West End and then bring it to New York.
yeah, I'd love to say it's because, my voice broke by the time we went to London and they couldn't have me. It got a bit taller, but really, I think they just wanted an even number of children, and Reginald added very little to the plot.
Yeah.
So, fair enough.
But it's a great name, Reginald. You don't hear
Yeah,
a lot of kids these days named Reginald.
true. I made it to the cast recording. I've got the second verse in When I Grow Up, like I'm good. So, Reginald's legacy lives on.
Yeah. It was funny. I was talking to a friend the other day because I was in DC a few weeks ago and I was visiting a friend and we watched the Matilda movie on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
And we're just like, it's so underrated. Nobody talks about it enough.
The musical movie.
Yeah. Well, the musical movie.
I agree. I think it's beautifully done. I think it pays great tribute to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tim Minchin is just such a genius.
Yeah.
I think so
I
clever.
also forgot that Emma Thompson was Trunchbull. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh, yes, of course. I think originally it was supposed to be Ray Fiennes, but
Oh,
yeah.
didn't know that. Interesting. They did a great job of making her look, like a
Yeah.
giantess. The way
Yeah.
they manipulated the camera work was, yeah, it was very clever.
Yeah. So I also want to talk quickly before we delve into like stuff now. I Les Miserables as
Yeah.
Gavroche because when I was in DC, I saw Les Mis at the Kennedy Center and I was like, this Gavroche is great. And you kind of forget how like great of a part that is, especially when you have a really good child actor. But you were
Yeah.
also lucky enough to perform at the 25th anniversary concert at the O2, which I know is like a big arena space, very like, holy, we're doing a show at the O2. So what was that experience like?
I mean, I feel like I didn't appreciate it really. I mean, I was only 13 or 14. So it was just, it was fun. And now I think I'd be terrified. I'd be having stage fright and anxiety
Yeah,
before I go on. But then it was just a giggle. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever perform to a crowd that size ever again.
yeah.
But that was very, very special.
Do you struggle with anxiety and performance anxiety still?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't shy away from that. I have to sort of roll with it, and it's become like my pal.
Yeah.
And I think it's RuPaul who famously says, you can listen, but not for too long.
Yeah,
Um, so sometimes it's helpful, and it makes me feel like I care about what I do, which is good because I do think nerves mean that you
yeah,
care a lot about your craft, and if you're going out there blasé and complacent, then I don't know. I think, yeah, th there's a lot of pressure in this industry.
yeah,
But you have to sort of sit with that anxiety and breathe through it and have a sense of humor. That's helped me through a lot. It's not rocket science. We're just playing dress up and
yeah,
throwing on a wig or two. Um, and and once you realize the audience are willing you to succeed rather than fail, same goes for audition rooms. Once you realize the panel are there hoping that you make their jobs easier,
yeah,
it's a lot, it takes a lot of pressure off. No one there is willing you to be bad. Everyone wants you to be good and
yeah.
you can be.
Yeah, and it's the age-old adage of like they want you to be the person they're looking for.
Exactly.
And also it's think of every audition as a performance.
Exactly. Well, walking as though you've got the job.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. I was on Instagram a few months ago and somebody's like, whenever I have anxiety, somebody told me to name my anxiety. So I'm just like, not today, Karen.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's Brenda, there's Sally, there's Susan. I mean, they all seem to be sort of in a similar ilk of names, don't they? We'd
Yeah.
never call them like Steve. It's always a
You know,
Brenda or a Sally.
I love that. It's Steve, not today. But there's this guy I follow on Instagram and he goes, "What is this, Sharon?" I was like, "Is that the British equivalent to Karen?" He's like, "What?
Oh, funny.
Not today, Sharon. What is this?" Because oh my God, he responds to videos. It's
I
brilliant.
love
But
it.
that's actually how I discovered you with social media.
Oh,
Your
sure.
off time Glinda, which I still go back to. I watched it so many times yesterday in preparation because like I have to tell Rob that that's how I was introduced to them because it's so brilliant. And I
Oh,
think you even did like an off-time Les Mis.
yeah, I had this phase of my life where I liked taking the mickey out of how difficult it is to sing to backing tracks.
Yeah,
And also that classic thing that I think many musical theatre performers will relate to when you can't quite see the monitor to follow the conductor or you have to sort of guess and then it can go hideously wrong. I mean, that's happened to me very recently in a show I'm in at the minute. minute. And I thought, oh my God, this is like one of my videos in real life.
well, I was going to ask with Cabaret how that's going, but just really quickly, so you also went to University of Warwick where you studied English.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to study English instead of pursuing the theater route?
In full transparency, I auditioned for drama schools at the age of 18 and was told I was too young. So university was not the first choice.
Yeah,
It was sort of like, well, I'll do this to bide my time instead. And luckily I enjoyed English. I was always good at it at school. And I thought, well, if I'm not going to do drama, the only other academic thing I'd be any good at is English. And, I tailored my entire course to study Shakespeare and to study plays as much as humanly possible.
yeah.
Um, and I'm so, so glad that it panned out that way because having been in shows since the age of 9 years old, I think if I hadn't have stepped away for those 3 years, well, 4 years, because I ended up working in a pub and a hotel the year after I left uni, those 4 years were so important and formative for me. They really reaffirmed that theatre is what I want to do. I was so sure of it at that point. Whereas I think if I'd have just carried on, I would have not appreciated it. So when I had my first audition back, I think it was in 2018 as an adult, I was like, oh my goodness, this feel, I'm ready now.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, uni was the best experience, and I made lifelong friends, most of whom don't even do theatre.
Yeah.
Um, so it was, world experience and yeah, life enriching.
Yeah. I'm curious because you said when you auditioned for drama schools at 18, they said you were too young. Is that the, because American, I don't know this, but is that the norm in the UK? Because when people graduate high school, they audition for theater programs and they get in or they don't. I just don't know in the UK what that's like.
I think it's dependent on where on the schools you audition for.
Okay.
I didn't want to audition for musical theatre courses, and I know plenty of musical theatre courses take on 18-year-olds
Mhm.
straight out of high school. Because we finish high school at 16 and then you do your A levels, which is, a two year course before what Americans would call college, which we call
Yeah.
university. Um, and plenty of dance colleges take on students at 16 actually. Um, but I didn't want to do that. I finished at Sylvia's when I was 16 and I thought I've spent so long tap dancing and not being very good at it, to be totally honest.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew my strength was acting, specifically comedy. So I auditioned for straight acting courses, and
Hmm.
oftentimes you can get turned down if you're 18. I think they like their actors to be, 21 with life experience. So then after Warwick, I worked in a pub for a year and I auditioned for a master's course at the
Yeah.
Royal Academy of Music, ironically to do a musical theatre course, which is what I thought I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
But all I did at uni was the Musical Theatre Society, and I thought, my God, it is absolutely what I want to do. But again, RAM was very tailored towards actors, who can sing, uh, and that really appealed to me because I've just never been that strong a dancer. And I was worried that all the musical theatre pathways that I was looking at were so dance heavy, and I thought, damn, there's not a place for me, but there was, and I found RAM and had a great time there.
That's wonderful. And so, after your master's, you've had much success on tour, Les Mis, and then unfortunately COVID happened. But then let's talk about My Son's a Queer, but What Can You Do? Where did the idea of doing that show come from?
So I was living back with my parents during the pandemic,
Mhm.
and I came across all of these old VHS tapes, which I hadn't looked at for years and years and years. And I just thought they were hilarious, and I wanted to make people laugh, mostly my mates who followed me on Instagram. I didn't have a following at that time, so I just posted them for my pals to have a giggle at, who often, knew my parents as well. So it was more of a, oh, look at John and Jam being funny in 2009.
Mhm.
And but then they sort of took off and were seen by people that weren't just friends and family. But the idea for the show only came about when I had a comment from a parent, which I talk about in My Sons Are Queer. Um, it was a video of me dressed as the Little Mermaid singing Part of Your World in my front room at the age of 12. And I posted it because I thought it was funny and sweet. But there was a comment from a parent that said, I have a beautiful little boy who used to be a beautiful little girl. Um, and once we came out to his friends' parents, our community has now turned their backs on us, and my little boy doesn't have friends. What advice would you have for me, essentially? And I thought, oh my goodness, that comment has come off such a simple video of me in a wig being supported by my parents. And I think it's something that made me go, wow, I'm very blessed
Yeah.
being. And why don't we see queer stories of um, parental support? We need specifically father figures. I
Mhm.
was like, oh God, yeah. There's so many comments are about my dad. Wow, what a great dad you have. I wish my dad could have been like this. Or alternatively, my dad was like this. Why don't we see fathers like this when it comes to queer stories? So often they're neglectful or, you know what the stories are. So I really wanted to write something that showed that these family units do exist and have done for at least over 20 years in my case. So it's nothing new to support your flamboyant children. It
Yeah.
does exist, has existed,
Mhm.
and please continue to let it exist.
Yeah. So I know that there's been a lot because you've done the show so much over the years, and especially coming to New York, there's been a lot of publicity and a lot of information out there on there. So we don't have to like delve too much into it because all the info is out there. But I'm curious for you how the show has evolved since you first started doing it in the UK, Edinburgh, touring it around the UK, the unfortunate possible Broadway production, but then City Center. So I know that for American audiences, you tailored it, and I very much enjoy the pussycat doll performance person jokes. Um,
Well, got to be topical.
yeah, and I also do, I really loved your regards to Broadway poster as you as Norma Desmond, which we'll also get into. But how for you has the show evolved over the years and the feedback that you've been getting from the audience, and if that's changed anything with the show?
It's been such a roller coaster that I still haven't quite processed and don't think I ever will because I think I'd have anxiety and panic about it. So I just turn up each day
Yeah.
and deliver
Brenda, stay at bay, Brenda.
and stay at bay,
Yeah.
Brenda.
Mhm.
So all I have to think is this, my job is to go and tell the story, whether it's to 30 people as it used to be in our very first performances, or whether it's to, 1,000 people at New York City Centre.
Mhm.
Um, So in the sense, in a very literal sense, it's grown beyond my tiny little brain could ever imagine. I never thought it would ever make it to such a stage as that. Never intended it to either,
Mhm.
but I was never going to say no. I wrote it purely as a passion project, and I sort of wanted to nicely package up how I feel about my family. So really, I didn't even think it would ever go on. I just wanted like a document for me which said, "Wow, how blessed am I?" Almost like a diary entry. And then we put it on in a tiny theatre called the Turbine, off West End, just when COVID restrictions were easing,
Mhm.
and there was perspex screens through the seats, and everyone had to wear masks, and it was 50% capacity. So it was tiny, tiny, but then it took off at the Edinburgh Fringe. Um, and we performed in the same venue that Six performed in just before they transferred to the West End. So it felt like, wow, this is a fun trajectory to follow. Um, yeah, and then we went to London, and I mean, yeah, it just grew and grew and grew. And in terms of the message of the show, it's always remained the same, but it feels more urgent doing it in 2025. I think it felt the comedy was a lot stronger in 2021, and whenever I'd have an interview about it in 2021, it was always about the funny and how silly and ridiculous it was with, my dad wearing wigs. And as we've gone through the years and what's happened in the past 4 years, it it's almost become a lot heavier and a lot more urgent. But I think that just goes to show that you know, theatre has to evolve and has to reflect the times we're living in, and I'm really proud to have created something that for now is standing the test of time, and I hope it continues to.
Yeah. How was it also? Because New York, it was the first time you had a live band on stage.
Oh, it was amazing. It
Yeah.
was like always a wish, but something that we never quite got round to.
Yeah.
And it just lifted it beyond measure. And
Yeah.
it felt more communal. And to do a show that is preaching about the importance of community, to have a visibly queer orchestra on stage with me was just wonderful.
Yeah. And like I said, before we started chatting, the show is just it's a really special piece. And I really urge anybody listening, because I don't know if there's a further journey for My Son's a Queer, or if it's just kind of like shelved for not ever, but for the period of time that it's shelved. If
It's
yeah.
yeah, I mean, never say never.
Yeah.
But yeah, no immediate plans right
Yeah.
now. But who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah, it's just, I urge everybody to look into the show, listen to the music. It's just such a positive message. It's really a special piece of theater. And I left just so moved and touched. And like I said, I laughed, I cried. And especially when I saw during Pride Month, it's really a special, wonderful piece that you created.
Thank you so much.
And with that being said, regards to Broadway, your one night performance
Yeah,
yes,
let's get into it.
on the West End. So that show was created because of the unfortunate cancellation of My Son's a Queer on Broadway, which I will also say, like, I don't want to say I enjoyed it because it's, upsetting that it happened, but you did the making content with my parents, what was supposed to be the opening night of my Broadway, and you recreated what it would be like in your childhood home.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did. You have a choice, don't you, when bad things happen? You
Yeah.
can say woe is me, which, I did for a week or two. Um, and then you can make lemonade out of lemons. And I was given the opportunity to do a concert at the Garrick Theatre in the West End. And as I was trying to put a set list together, I just had to write what I knew. And what came more naturally than, I don't know, putting together a set list of 20 musical theatre songs was sharing the elephant in the room, because it would
Mhm.
have been my first time back on a stage after that news.
Mhm.
So yeah, I got the postponement happened in February and Regards to Broadway happened in May. So it was a very quick turnover. So I've never written a piece of theatre quicker than that in my life.
Yeah.
But it came very easily. And I didn't want to walk onto a stage awkwardly. I wanted to walk out there with, this is what's happened. We must talk about it. And that opening paragraph to my concert ended up becoming a 2 hour long show. And I thought I may as well just do a show all about this. And it was so much fun. And it was a real cathartic moment.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was everything I needed and more.
That's wonderful. So, you've written these two shows, and you're also adapting, or I don't know if the adaptation is finished, of Charley's Aunt.
Yeah, I am. I
Yeah,
was on it today. Yeah.
look at that. So, and that's going to be at the Watermill Theatre. Do
Yeah,
you
it will be. Yeah, it's a fabulous farce, which is from Brandon Thomas, Victorian era.
want?
And as is the case with a lot of farces from that era, it deals with mistaken identity. And Charlie's Aunt specifically deals with gender swapping. So I was asked to come and, well, queer it up really, and make the gender swapping not necessarily the joke that we're laughing at,
Mhm.
but more of a celebration. And I've loved doing that. So we've retained all of the comedy and the humor from the original, but we've also brought it bang up to date and made it, less man wears dress. How funny is that?
Yeah,
More how joyful is that?
yeah.
Like, join the party is essentially the message of Charlie's Aunt, my version anyway. So yeah, it's fun.
So, if people listening, if they want to go see Charley's Aunt or Aunt, as you say, where can they see it? Where can they get tickets?
Oh, the Watermill website. It will be on in October 2025. Yeah, just look up Charlie's Aunt, Rob Madge, Watermill. You'll find all the details there. We go into rehearsals very soon as well. Can't wait.
Great. So, before we get into Cabaret, I'm
Yeah,
curious. So, in New York during the holiday season, they usually do different holiday shows, whether it be at Madison Square Garden or they'll just like throw something on Broadway. So, for the past couple of years, you've actually been doing things at the London Palladium, pantomime plays,
yeah.
and you grew up seeing them as well. So, you've done Jack and the Beanstalk, Peter Pan, Robin Hood, and then coming up, you're going to be the Diva of Dreams in Sleeping Beauty.
I am. I am. I think it's my greatest character name to date.
I think so too. But I mean, because again, American, but I've actually never really been no, like didn't really know about these pantomime plays. So can you
Yeah.
talk about them a little bit for those
Yeah.
listening who don't really know what they are?
Yeah, it's a British tradition that every Christmas, theatre. I will preface by saying it is the theatre industry's highest earner in the UK. Without pantos, theatre wouldn't really be a thing. So every theatre, pretty much, not every theatre, but the majority of theatres across the UK, in London and regional, every Christmas time will put on a fairy tale, a panto of a fairy tale. So you'd have Cinderella, and within that, you'd have panto traditions, which include audience participation, turning pop songs into you'd have Cinderella singing, I don't know, Make You Feel My Love by Adele to the Prince. It's a comedy, and it's family entertainment. So the London Palladium has a rich history of pantomime. And yeah, they asked me to join theirs in, yeah, 2022. And I played, well, I essentially played Milky White from Into the Woods. I played Pat the Cow, singing, dancing cow. Year after, I was Tinkerbell in Peter Pan. Last year, I was the Spirit of Sherwood Forest, which essentially is, the fairy, the good fairy. In pantos, you have the villain
Mm,
and good and evil.
yeah.
And I often play good. Don't know why, because I'm a nightmare. Um, but yeah, this year I will be helping Sleeping Beauty achieve all of her dreams.
Yeah. As the diva that you are.
Yeah, well, listen, Rachel Zegler is at the London Palladium right now, so just following in her footsteps, I
Are you going to
guess.
go out as the diva and perform the song?
Now,
And
listen, you joke, but I have suggested it. I've said to the director, listen, if you don't have at least one of us on that balcony
yeah.
parodying
Hmm.
Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, you have
Yeah.
missed a trick.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, I think I saw a video of the woman who's playing Ula in the producer. She actually did something on the balcony as well as a parody of that.
Listen, you've
Yeah.
got to, stay on trend for the kids, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh, please. They're already talking in New York about like what theater is it going to be at because she has to be on the balcony. So everyone's debating like which theater Evita might go into.
Do you have many balcony theatres?
Not really. I mean, there's some theaters that have like fire escapes or balcony-esque type
I mean, I
places.
mean, we don't either, but I
Yeah.
think it's quite rare. So,
I know. I'm sure they'll figure it out somehow. I mean, because the Sunset Boulevard block was huge. So, yeah.
well, if we do that at the Palladium, I'm not sure my presence on the balcony would attract quite as many as many
Guys,
audience.
you don't know. My son's a queer is very popular. You
Oh
have
yeah, my
a
sons are
following.
queer. Snow White, West Side Story, same thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
why not? Listen, you are the diva. But
Yes.
so let's talk about your current role right now, which when they announced you in this part, I was like, absolutely yes. And it sadly kills me that I can't see you do it in London, but you are currently the MC at the Kit Kat Club
Yeah.
on the West End. What is that like? Because I know you played it when you were a child, that part, and everyone's like, yes, of course, this role, Rob Madge, it makes sense.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
from what I've seen, you've gotten not to, if you want to cover your ears, but you've gotten pretty good reviews in that role. And depending on, I guess, the direction or the actor's performance, the MC can be a little maniacal. And with you saying, like, I'm really like, you know, not as nice as you would think, I was like, well, the MC is perfect.
Um, it's yeah. So I played the part when Sylvia Young Theatre School. I
Mhm.
mean, I didn't really play the part. We sang Willkommen as part of a big musical theatre medley.
Yeah.
So I got to open the show and sing Vilkma, and then I became obsessed with all things cabaret, and that Joel Grey became my number one inspiration, followed closely by Alan Cumming, who, when I used to have hair, people would often say I looked like. I mean, you can't see it now because I look like a boiled egg because I'm bald, but but everyone used to, people would be like, you look like Alan Cumming. Oh yes, you've been told that before. Yes, I have. Um, and then we did it at university. We did it at Warwick University, the fall show, where I auditioned and I got the part of Schultz, and I was devastated. However, I've quickly come to learn that Schultz and Schneider are the heart of that show, and it was great fun to play. But yes, then this new 2022 revival happened, and I adored it, but thought there wasn't a chance in hell that I would ever be seen for the part. Um, and I was hosting a gig which is for which was for sort of theatre creatives and producers. It was an award ceremony specifically for the people that you don't see, the people behind the scenes. And I was hosting this internal gig, and I made a little joke and I said, "Good evening, everyone. I am your host, und sagen willkommen." And I was like, if there are any casting directors for Cabaret, you know where to find me. And there was the casting directors were there, and they called me in for an audition, and they first thing they said when I walked in was, "I hear you want this job," and I thought I was literally joking. It was just a joke, um, but it has been single-handedly the most fulfilling, uh, overwhelming, and gratifying experience to
Yeah.
date. it's an unbelievable thing to be a part of. I still pinch myself, and it's wonderful to be able to show different sides, different strings to my bow.
Yeah.
You can easily get, pigeonholed, and having spent the past 4 years telling my life story and playing myself. I
Mhm.
mean, I say myself, it is of course still a character. It's heightened and it's specific and it's, intrinsically rehearsed to
Yeah.
the nth degree. So when people sort of boil it down to just me being on stage saying, "Hello, you're right," it's a bit more complicated than that. So I'm love having a role now that I can, sort of prove myself with, and I'm really loving it. It's such a fab experience.
That's so great. And it's great because you mentioned Alan Cumming, and he actually ended up being a producer for the New York production of My Son's a Queer. So
Yeah, it felt full circle. I mean, serendipity, really. We'd always wanted him to come on board, and when he did, we were just, yeah, we were overwhelmed.
that's incredible. So do you have any other dream roles or projects? Because you said MC was,
Yeah, I mean, it got to a point where I sounded like a broken record because people would often ask, "What's your dream role?" And I would always say that part. And I also felt like it was such a cliche to say the MC. It's such like, oh, classic, another LGBT person saying they want to play the MC.
when I
Um,
I ask majority of the time dream roles or performances or whatever, and I've gotten so many Sweeney Todds. I've
but
gotten
sure,
so many Sunday in the Parks, a lot of Sondheim repeats, or
I
a lot of like a role that hasn't been written, which is all valid, but there's nothing wrong with the cliche because that's what people want.
Yeah, and that's why I couldn't believe I got the part because I was like, oh my God, the cliche has become
Yeah.
reality. So it truly was always that role, and I can, retire happy
Yeah.
when this contract finishes. Of course, I can't. I need to keep working, and I will never stop. I adore this industry, and I just now that I've played something that had been an aim, it's very refreshing to be like, okay, cool. Well,
Mhm.
I now I've ticked that one off the list, and that was the one. So whatever's presented my way next,
Yeah.
I'm game for. I'm so much more open. And
Yeah. Do you
so I
think
mean, I'd love to do a Sondheim. Haven't done a Sondheim yet. Would love to do a Shakespeare. Would love to be a Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream. Things in that realm.
Well, I always tell people, Shakespeare is free to do. So I tell them just well, in New York, go to Central Park and just do a monologue, see what happens. I'm sure you can
So
find a
true.
place in London and just would you ever do something like the Globe?
Oh my gosh, yes. I would jump at the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Because
Absolutely.
you said in school you studied so much Shakespeare, so I'm kind of surprised that you haven't sunk your teeth into that yet.
Yeah, I like I say, I think you can very easily be pigeonholed. And I think because I I mean, I didn't start on social media, I started when I was a kid, but because that's where I became visible,
Yeah.
I think people reduce people that,
Yeah.
post on Instagram to purely doing that. And I
Mhm.
see it happen to my friends as well who have also achieved success on social media. And when they get announced in
Mhm.
roles, it
Mhm.
can be met with backlash because this role should have gone to someone who is trained. And it totally negates the reality that these people have also trained. And
Yeah.
they've used social media as a tool.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, roles should go to people who are trained but it should go to who deserves the job. And to say that those who are funny on the internet don't deserve the job is it's sometimes infuriating. So I'm glad to have a role now that shows
Mhm.
like that shows very clearly that we're us little TikTokers are worthy of your stages.
Yeah.
So hopefully that
Well,
opens the door to more,
well,
spirit acting.
sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you, but I mean, just even looking at your background, you've done a lot of different stuff. So it's not just, unfortunately, if people just only see you as just, on social media, but if they really look into your work, it's very eclectic.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
also just want to shout out, I love how you did Buyer and Seller.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
you're welcome. I've never seen it, but I'm just like obsessed with the idea of that show.
Oh, it's absolutely bonkers. Yeah,
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand has converted her basement into essentially a shopping centre. It's fantastic. I mean, that was camp as hell to play that. I loved it.
Yeah. So let's do the inside the actor studio questions very quickly because I feel like that's something you would be excited about doing. So, Rob, what is your favorite word?
Custard. Which do you have in America? It's sort of like you have custard.
Yeah, we have custard.
Right. Well, I love some
Probably not
custard.
as good as like the UK version. I watch British Bake Off. I know what's up.
Yeah, well, isn't that satisfying? Custard.
Custard. Oh, and a British accent, it sounds even.
Yeah. Yeah, very truly. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your least favorite word?
Moist for reasons that are obvious.
Uh, yes.
Oh,
What
Hugh,
turns, oh,
it's weather. Sorry, carry on.
no, 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 please, you can continue on with the
No,
answer.
no, 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 no.
Yeah. Okay. What turns you on?
Oh, um, like a dirty burger, like dripping with like grilled onions, sizzling bacon. Oh, yeah, that would do me.
Yeah. It's actually making me hungry now.
Yeah.
Uh, what turns you off?
Oh, 2025.
I hear you. It's
Yeah,
been rough.
it's gonna be all right, but yeah, at the minute, my goodness, yeah.
There's a Dolly Parton quote I love, and it really has helped me out over the past blank years. Not to give my age away, but the way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain.
True.
And there you
And
go.
it's coming. Judy Garland's coming with that rainbow.
Yes. What is your
Right.
favorite curse word?
Oh, now this is really difficult
Okay.
because I use so many. Um, I have a very good friend, and we call each other little shit all the time because that's our term of endearment. You're right, little shit. And I enjoy that because it feels sort of sweet and wholesome and also kind of cutting. Also, I love a good twat. My God, what a twat. That's whenever I'm feeling a bit low, calling out someone for being a twat always helps.
Yeah. I feel like nobody, well, it's not really an American term, but I feel like twat should be used here a lot more because there are a lot of them out here.
Yes. Well, no, there's a lot of good there as well, especially in New York.
Yes. No, I agree. Just there's twats in the world. Okay. What sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I love?
Mhm.
Um, I get to blow a raspberry in Cabaret, and I like doing that. That's fun.
It's,
I get to do that in money, which is enjoyable.
I love that. Okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
Um, Actually, silence, it makes me very uncomfortable. And even when I go to sleep, I have to make sure I have to at least have the noise of waves crashing on on the telly or something. I can't sleep. It's really bad. I should probably talk to a therapist about that.
Well, they have sound machines, so that's.
Yeah. Yeah, silence uneases me. And my own voice sometimes. My own voice, I don't enjoy that sound.
I think your voice is lovely. What profession other than yours would you like to attempt?
Teaching. I feel like again, it feels like a cliche answer, but I love telling stories, and I think with a show like My Son's a Queer as well, it feels educational in a way, and I love that. I love teaching people something new, even if it's through theatre or and children are the future.
What profession would you not like to do?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I'd just be useless in an office. I'd be useless in a 9 to 5. I'm a night owl. I'd get nothing done. I'd procrastinate till 5 p.m. and then think I should probably open the laptop. It needs to be anything I do has to have some kind of creativity attached to it.
I understand that. It's going to sound
Often
really
don't
hippy
have
dippy.
creativity attached to it, of
Yeah.
course. You
I
know.
got a chart reading done a few months ago because I lost my job, and I was like, why can't I find a guy? Why can't I keep a job? Those are like the two things in my life that I'm not lucky with. And she's like, well, you're not meant for a normal job. So I was like, well, that makes sense. And she's like, you're going to meet your partner later in life. I was like, I'm of a certain age right now. Like, that's not helpful.
No, don't be silly. You've got years ahead of you.
Thanks. All right. So, and finally, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You're in the wrong room.
Oh,
Oh dear. What would I like God to say? Um, you didn't believe me, did you? He'd be like, "Who's laughing now?" That would be fun. And then I'd say, "I'm really sorry. Please, can I come in? I'm really nice. I make a great spaghetti bolognese. We can have a great pasta night." And he'll go, "Oh, go on then." And we'll pop open the wine.
love that. Any particular type of wine?
Always a Pinot Grigio.
I enjoy a Pinot Grigio myself.
Yeah, dry, crispy.
Ooh, sounds delightful. Maybe
That's
I'll.
another good word. Actually, I take back custard. Crisp. A
Ooh,
crisp, like a crisp morning and a
yeah,
crispy wine.
like
Lovely.
that. It's beautiful. So, Rob, before we end, and you can stay on once we're done recording, is there anything you want to put out there in the world? You're in Cabaret until September.
Yes.
Then you are in the London Palladium Sleeping Beauty in December.
Yes. Um, I'm not allowed to say what it is, but I am going to say that I have written a musical that I think is happening next year. Um, I've been writing it for nearly 3 years now, and it's got to a point where I think we're able to talk about the fact that I've written a musical. I can't say what it is yet, but it will be announced very, very soon. So that is happening next year. So stay tuned. Really excited. There'll be much more, I think, writing projects coming from me over 2026. And other than that, thanks for supporting if you have, and if you haven't, that's okay too. But I'm on Instagram if you want to see what the fuss is about.
Yeah, the fuss. And, again, you can look at the highlight reels of your trips to Disney because when you were in Disney, I just enjoyed it so much. And I'm also a big Disney fan as well.
Come on, let's go on. I was going to say dinosaur. It's just closed, hasn't it? In Animal Kingdom, that's sad.
Yeah, well, they were putting Encanto there, and I think Indiana Jones and
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of revamps. I'm very upset they closed Muppets 3D. That was one of my
Oh
favorites.
my gosh, it's devastating. It's not what it used to be, kids.
Not, oh, my stepdad, he's a Disney purist, and we have conversations, and he's like, it's not as good as it used to be. We went when it was like the prime. So,
I agree. It's also nostalgia is a very powerful tool, isn't it?
yeah, 100%. That's how I feel. Because when I go to Disney, I'm very like, this is what I did when I was younger, and we're doing this. And I had my friend come down with me one year, and I made her get a henna tattoo because we always got henna tattoos in Morocco at Epcot. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that little
She didn't want to
tradition.
do it, but I made her.
Yeah, so you should. So
Yeah.
you should.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, please go see Rob in Cabaret. They are there until September. And as I said, I unfortunately didn't get to see it, but I've been hearing really great things.
Thank you so much. Well, listen, you be the judge of that if you come and watch it. Um,
Yeah.
but I'm having a blast nonetheless.
Wonderful. Rob, well, thank you again so much for coming on. Truly, like, it was such a delight talking to you. And I'm so happy that we were finally able to make this happen because, as mentioned, I've been wanting to chat with you for a while. So this is truly, truly wonderful that we got to do this. So thank you so
Well, thank you so much, Alison. I'm glad we finally got to do it.
Yes. All right. Thanks everyone for listening.